Hi guys, just checking that we're recording, which we are. New system still playing. How are you doing? So today is the 11th of February 2023, and I'm conscious when looking at the date that today is the 11th, and obviously 11 is a master number. Okay, and today we're going to be doing something slightly different, something that I've done before, but with only one twin, which was Reggie. Today we're going to be channeling Reggie and Ron Kray. And the reason why I'm looking down is the same old story. I have their picture down there. I've not read this yet. I've not read this. This is going to be something I'm going to read in future. And this is Our Story by Reg and Ron Kray. In their own words, I've not read it yet. And see, it's a brand new book. But I bought it to read afterwards, and I bought it with a picture as well, so I can have something to look down. The first time I did this, I channeled Reg, and I remember him coming through the day that Barbara Windsor died. I'll link I'll link that brother. I'll link that video below so you can watch it as a catch up. And I remember he came in on the day that Barbara Windsor died, which I think was a couple of years ago, 2 or 3 years ago, and I was like, wow. And I was like, I knew I'd have to channel him. And I asked us, like, you've come on your own, where's Ron? At the time, I wasn't allowed to channel Ron because Ron's energy is very different and it's still very different. And I was in a different place back then. I'd not got a lot of channeling under my belt and I'd not done any controversial characters back then. So it was like a no-go area, and Reg came in on his own. And I've been feeling Reg comes in. I think Reg is the oldest anyway by 10 minutes, and been feeling this building for a few weeks, building for a few weeks. And I think it was a couple of weeks ago, they basically both came in and says, you're going to be channeling us both soon. And I was like, okay, why? And they gave me the word Andrew Tate. And I was like, oh, why about Andrew Tate? And they says they wanted to talk about our addiction as a species to the undivine masculine. Okay. So what I do is I write in my diary, like I'll write YouTube and channeling the name of the person I'm channeling. So I write it YouTube channeling Reg and Ron Kray, and my hand kept going. Okay. And they wrote undivine masculine. And I was like, wow. And they says this isn't about Andrew Tate. This is also about them and the fact that they were also a representation of the undivine masculine. The undivine masculine can be toxic, aggressive, argumentative, weak-willed, addiction issues, etc. And about how, as a society, this addiction that we've got to the undivine masculine is actually helping to impede us and hold us back, and it's affecting future generations. As I'm saying this as well, we're living in a world where many men and many women are unsure of their roles anymore, and these two are coming forward to talk about finding our role, to talk about rebirthing our role, and to talk about, I mean, they're going to be talking about many things and a way back from a life of crime. Because one of the things they're passionate about is the fact that, yes, there is an awakening on the planet and an increase in frequency. That's my tablet buzzing away in the background. And an increase in frequency on the planet. But it's okay, us in our little corner of the world, surrounded by crystals, sprays, cards, but there are corners in every city within the world, every suburb, where there is still darkness, where there is still knife crime, gun crime, crime you can't even imagine. And I think as a spiritual community, we have to acknowledge that it can't all be love and light, because there's a different part of society, a part of society that is in need. There's prisons, there's police stations, there's detention centres, whatever you want to call them, wherever you are in the world. And they want to talk about that. They also want to talk about a way back from crime. So it's really interesting that whenever I clean, Reg comes in really strong. And it got to a stage where I started cleaning. I sat down like, Reg, what is it with you and cleaning? Because like literally, I even joked with him. I said, I'm going to put a bottle of polish on the table when I'm doing it. I haven't actually. And he said he finds it comforting when a woman is cleaning. And please bear in mind, these men were born from a different period. They were born pre-war, pre-World War II. So they are from a very different era. But a lot of what they say has actually deep truth in it and deep wisdom. They're not talking today as criminals, and they need to make that statement as well. They're not talking as gangsters, and they want to make that statement as well because this is a safe reading. It's not going to be full of goals. But he says that cleaning reminded him of his mother and the grounded energy that being at home in Valence Road gave him. That despite what happened in the world, of which he was part of which he instigated, of which he birthed, and in the crime world, whenever they went home to Valence Street, closed the doors, it was a grounding space, and the smells of the cleaning products, the smells of the cooking, the baking, the home is now taking us into Valence Street, Valence Road. One of the things he said was that when we're doing this challenge, to visualize yourself in there, to visualize his mother in there, because he says a lot of people will come to this and they'll be like, oh, channeling the crazy. We will get that. We will get that. I'm prepared for that. And I'm prepared for that in the comments as well. And it's almost like the mother, his mother, Violet, representing a nurturing aspect of this video and a safety net as well, that there's nothing unsafe about this video. And he actually made a joke earlier and said she would have actually, had they all been still alive and she knew that guests were coming today to talk to them, she would have been cleaning, prepping, baking, making sure when we walked in we were welcome. And it was always a welcoming presence. And last week, and I just didn't want to clean. And he said, cleaning is grounding. Cleaning and looking after your home is essential. And a lot with the wartime women especially, what got them through those times was the ability to look after their home and know life was not perfect, as these two boys, men, I keep going to call them boys. Why do I keep calling them boys? Well, look at them. As these two men showed us, that yes, they were born in a pre-war era of a time when women were keeping the country going whilst men were going off to war. But it enabled them to go for it, enabled them to have a strength that we don't see now. He says we very rarely see the inner strength of women that we had back then, and an ability to cope, when hell knocked on your door, if that makes sense. Yesterday, Reg said, he says, now we're going to start to bring Ron in. So I was like, okay, and I started to get this really not edgy feeling. I've got to be careful how I say this because I don't want people sat there thinking, oh, she felt worried when Ron came in. I didn't. But Reg described it. He says many people felt like this when Ron came into a room, even if he was no violence involved, even if he was just going to sit down and have a cup of tea, people felt this. Ron has an energy of which very few people have. And it can be actually quite sinister. And if you're perceptible to feeling that kind of stuff, it can be overpowering. But one of the things they both said was, we will not scare you. There's going to be nothing that's going to be dark or bad about this video. And there's nothing bad or dark about Ronnie and Reggie where they are now. And it was interesting because I was like, I wonder how they're going to bring him in. Anyway, they brought him in whilst I was sleeping. And it was actually quite amazing what they did, because actually it felt quite safe. One of the things Ron showed me astral traveling last night was that he actually showed me himself. Number one, he came up to me in his living room and he put his hand out to me like that, and he said, put your hand. It was more like a grandfather thing, when you used to, or your dad, where you used to measure your hand up against the older male masculine, or sometimes you do it with your mum, but it felt like he was doing that. Not to say my hand's bigger than your hands and look what my hands have done, but it's almost like he was doing it as a comforting thing, like a grandfather figure. Because to me, of my age, he probably would have been a grandfather figure. I think he's too old to be a dad for me, but it'd be a grandfather figure. And it was as though he was saying, it's fine, it's secure, you're okay to channel me. Whatever darkness I had in the past, I'm able to clear that and not bring it into this meeting. Okay. I'll always call it a meeting as well. And then he showed me himself being sick and really vomiting up. And it felt as though this was him trying to show us that he actually wants rid of that aspect of him. He wants to purge it out. He wants to release it. There's still a lot of tension within his body from that period, from that lifetime he lived as Ron Kray. He then took me into a pub, and it was in, I'm thinking it was actually the Blind Beggar. And he took me upstairs in the Blind Beggar. He was there, and my parents were there as well. And we were sat in this room with the landlady, and things started to move in the room, and I was like, wow. And I tried to heal it, but it was unhealable in the dream. And I was told to step back. And then the next minute, he brought me to. And I was like, what have you shown me? Then he took me back into astral travel, and he showed me a very, very, very small clip of the last crime they committed, which was in 1966, and it was the murder of George Cornell. They showed me the aftermath, like a very small clip, honestly, but enough for me to get it, if that makes sense. And I was like, God, why did you show me that? And he said, because you need to see that. Because if you're going to channel us, there's no point coming in. We need to see the darkness of people that we're worshipping on the world stage, be it the Krays, be it Andrew Tate, be it somebody else, and be aware of all aspects of their personality. And it was also a proof to me, because at that stage, I didn't know the name of the last person they killed, where they got arrested for it. The last blowout, they're calling it, the last blowout was George Cornell. Because I saw that clip. I got, who was that? I asked, who was that? I got George Cornell. And then I Googled it. Also, what Ron was saying, and either this is the Blind Beggar or other places in the East End of London that are claiming to be haunted by the Krays, or haunted by victims of the Krays or other gang leaders. He said it's he's saying it's bullshit. He's using his word bullshit. And he's saying nobody's haunting anything. They're not haunting anything, and nobody that they killed is haunting anything. And it's almost like they're getting sick of this ghouly energy in certain aspects of the East End. And it's all about that. They're not haunting. It says a lot of pubs. I mean, they do this in the Black Bull in Haworth. They claim that the poltergeist that they've got in the Black Bull of Haworth is Branwell, and it's not. It's not. And it's all to get people in. They're not haunting the East End of London. The people that they killed are not haunting the East End of London, and it needs to be laid to rest. They're also aware as well of a lot of good work that is coming back into the East End of London. One of the things that Reg mentioned to me was, and I'm not sure of the name, I've tried to Google it, but I can't find specific evidence of it. I can find global evidence of it, but things are like mums against guns. Because one of the things they said, and this feels as though this is stuff that's going on in the East End of London. Maybe it's not stuff that's out there in mainstream media. Maybe it's stuff that's happening privately. But mums against guns and mums against crime. Mums rising up against it, because one of the things Reg said to me is that in the family, it's the mum that holds the power in the family. Again, they're saying it's bullshit when they've been warned not to drop swear words in as well. So just keep it up, please, because I get monetized now. They're saying it's, you see, how can I come on and then say they're saying it's codswallop, because they're not codswallop men. They are, they're East End London men that swear like troopers. Okay. They're saying it's bullshit that men are the leaders of the family. It's actually women. There's something within the codes of a mother that you cannot buy, you cannot get put there. You are born with if you're born a woman. And these codes, they're saying many women can fire into them, but many women have dampened them down. And they're actually bringing their own mum into this, and they're not blaming her, because the love they have for their mother is, wow, unbelievable. But one of the things that when they got arrested and she realised she'd lost them, she'd lost her boys, because there will always be her boys to prison. It was like, if only I could have nipped it in the bud when the warning sign started. And they're saying there's always a warning sign that starts. Nobody is born that. There's always a warning sign. And it's nice to see in suburbs, not just the East End of London, but this rising up of the divine feminine, and in some cases the divine masculine. Okay, so before we go any further, numerology. So they were born, I haven't put the dates of birth. No, I put the dates of birth, but I've not put the dates of death. Anyway, they were born on the 24th of October, 1933. So they've got 23, lucky, unlucky, sinister, eccentricity, unpredictability, new beginnings, and revolutionism. Okay. So, I mean, honestly, That is them to a T. Number 5, curiosity, getting their old mentality, being unattached, weakness, non-committal, unreliable, directionless, having a beautiful aura. This is probably one of the aspects that comes in of why we feel so attracted to them, because they had an aura. And I'm not saying it's the same aura that Christ had, or it's an aura that, what I'm hearing is, if they'd have tapped into the good codes within them, they could have, it could have been a totally different story. Whatever they would have put their hands to would have been a success. Okay. A friend of mine, I'll take this read out. A friend of mine has done their astrology chart. What I'm going to do is, rather than read the whole thing out to you and just waffle on forever, I'm going to take a few bits of it, and then I'm going to print it on I'm going to put it on my social media, my Instagram and Facebook, Healing for Ascension. So this are the charts that she's done. If you can see that, you might not be able to see because of the glare. So, as the twins were born only 10 minutes apart, they have very similar charts. This does not mean that their lives will be exactly the same, but means that they will have very similar energies and values. They both have Cancer rising. The rising sign shows you how you are seen in the world, how you represent yourself, and how others see you. Cancer is about home, the importance of the mother. Many times Cancer rising sign will be round faces and could be rather short. They could be family orientated, whether the family is their blood family or the mob family. As Cancer often refers to the mother, their mother would have been an important for Cancer risings, can also be very emotional and may even have mood swings. The twins, I'm going to read it, aren't I? The twins would have had a good relationship with their father due to an easy aspect from the ascendant to the sun. This aspect would also give them a lot of energy and had an aura around them, especially as the sun is in sexy brooding Scorpio, and the fact that their Venus and Mars in Sagittarius are conjunct with each other. You would notice them if they walked into a room, as their sun is in the 5th house of fun, romance and children. They would have been fun to party with and loved women and children. On the negative side, or the lower vibration, the sun in Scorpio can make people very secretive, and you do not want to cross them, as they will seek revenge to a T. Both of the brothers could go overboard as well, with expansive Jupiter square in their ascendant. They could party very hard. They would point what would point to their criminal practices. Well, these boys would charm with their boots on. But this means they could also lie and deceive. They're sexy and charming, Mars conjunct Venus, and making a hard aspect to illusionary Neptune. Neptune, at its lower vibration, can be deceptive. They can pull the wool over people's eyes. Further, Neptune and Mars are an exact square. This means that Mars, the sign of action and war, can dissolve in the face of Neptune. This would be great for actors and artists who could use their action to create great pieces. If not used that way, it could mean becoming addicted to drugs, sex, alcohol, or undercover dealings. This appears to be in keeping with these two. They both have Pluto in Cancer in the 2nd house, the ruler of Scorpio, meaning they not only love money and see it as being powerful, but they could earn money in dubious means. They would be able to beg, lie and cheat to get money, with Pluto making an easy aspect to Mercury in secretive Scorpio. They could hide what they really feel and be great actors because they are actors at an energetic level. There is also a family wound somewhere in the North Node, squares Chiron, the wounded healer. The nodes are all about your past lives and what you must learn in this lifetime. The hard aspect means that there are unresolved issues and wounds in the family and how families work that need to be resolved. This includes how boundaries are made, making sure that they are set up early in relationships. This is what I've actually just skim read this before, so this is like confirming what I've just said. Set up early in relationships to prevent overstepping and therefore dramatic and even violent outcomes. I mean, I'll screenshot that, and if you want to have a chart done with her, I'll put her details below in the description, her email address. So give her a message and get yourself a chart done, because she's really good, and it's kept simple as well. I know I was meant to read that because that's fascinating. And honestly, I read some of it. I did read it, but I just skim read it. I didn't actually fully digest it. And I remember sat there thinking, God, they were done before this. They were done before they even started, weren't they? And they actually came in and says, no, we weren't. Because no matter what you're born under, there's always a choice. And as that chart says, they had the most ability to be, I mean, they were attractive men. I mean, look at them. Especially, I mean, they both had the looks, I think anyway, tall, dark, debonair, can put the suits on, they could earn the money. They had both aspects. They had both aspects. But which one are you going to feed? And this is about all of us. No matter what you're born into, no matter what you come into, you have a choice. And they could have flipped that. And it's something they're seeing now, looking back into their lives, that they could have flipped that and become something else, become something different, become something more wholesome. This morning, I experienced I experienced a weird thing this morning that I've not had for years. And it was the inability to get out of bed, not experienced it for years. And I thought this is somehow connected into them. And they showed me three things. Number one, it was both of them had a tendency for depression, a real tendency for depression behind closed doors. For all they had the riches, they had the attention, they had the protection, when it was all closed, it feels as though they actually can't stand to be in their own homes in quiet downtime. I actually can't see either of them sitting down and reading a book because they struggled. They struggled with the mindset they need. It's almost like a need to be active, like a nervous energy type energy. So I was feeling that. I was feeling, especially for Ron, a real depression in prison, I think they want to talk about prison life and the fact that prison life is glamorized at the minute through the media, and it's not glamour. It's not glamour. And their mum's depression as well after they went down into prison. So, God, this feels like there's so much to come through for this. Some water. I pulled some cards off camera and I pulled them with Ron because I was just having a play with Ron, wrong word, but just getting used to Ron and letting Ron get. He absolutely loves it in here. I was shocked at how much he was like a kid in a sweet shop looking at the crystals, the cards, and I feel as though a future incarnation for Ron feels as though he's going to go into this kind of stuff. There is a mysticism, and I wonder if it was with him in his lifetime as Ron, because he loved it. He's what's the very intense, very intense. I mean, I think I think many people have seen the legend, not the legend with Tom Hardy in it, and Tom Hardy's got him to a T because he's very much like that, very intense and very interested. So I said, Ron, pull us three cards. He got this one, the gilded regret, oops, artificial heart, and fated to suffer. And I went, fated to suffer, guys, but you said to me yesterday that you had a choice. They said, yeah. But we took a bite off the forbidden apple. Everyone gets offered the forbidden apple. And for different people, it'll be different things. It'll be their relationship, it'll be a certain person, it'll be it'll be different. For them, it was a life of crime. And they got offered it and they took it. But looking back at where they are, the gilded regret, it's almost like now we have to clear that. Now we have to cleanse that. Now we have to heal that before we go forward. We stepped into artificial love, artificial attention, artificial An artificial heart. Right. We will pull more cards with them both on camera, but I just want an obsession. The obsession. The obsession with power. Where do they want to go next? Okay. Reggie's wanted me to bring in the aspect of relationships, and I wasn't sure whether he'd want me to bring this in, but I will. Whenever I talk to him about his mother, it's beautiful. Total respect. Can tell honestly, they could talk forever about their mum. Whenever I say to Reg, tell me about your marriage or relationships, he closes. And I feel as though there's a real issue with Reg. I mean, we know there is with Ron and relationships, but with Reg also. And I don't. There'll be people going, "Oh, is it sexual? Is he sexual?" Because there were rumors about his sexuality. This is something different. Um, what is this? Show me, please. Right, what should we do? Should bring them in? Well, they're already in. So, feet on the ground. We've already been there. We're already sat in the front living room of Valence Road, and we're sat there. His mum's and the mum's there. Those two are sat on the sofa. She's sat on an armchair, and we've all got energetic seats in there anyway. And at any point, anyone can leave the room. You're not trapped in there. And in that room and in that house, it's pure safety. There's no darkness. They've not brought any dark energy in. They've not brought any trauma in. They're open. And there's also blue light around Valence Road, the house where they live now. So there's Archangel Michael there. And again, this isn't about them. It's about the energy of that lifetime that they lived. So, Reg. He's looking up and he's showing me his eyes. And there's just this. He's saying to me, when they passed over, he became so conscious of a love that he wasn't conscious of when on the planet. In the incarnation of Reg Kray, it was darkness, it was pain, it was killing, it was murder, it was slaughter, it was guns, it was everything you want to run away from. And it's only afterwards that he's found this absolute love when you go over, and it's almost like you cross it, saying you cross the pearly gates, you go over, you think, I'm not going to get accepted over here. And it feels very much like I said about Jimmy's ending, where at first it feels as though he didn't want to go over because in fear of being unaccepted. But somebody met him halfway between this earth and over there, over in the other dimensions, and he was met halfway. Was it his mother? It feels like it was his auntie. And when transitioning, he was able to see, and it feels quite intense, he was able to see just how beautiful this frequency of love is. And that, and it's almost like I can see it in his eyes, and it's like, oh, I love it. He does now. It's like these beautiful brown eyes, and it's just like they're just pure love. And it's like he's now able to tap into a source of love that he wasn't in that lifetime. And it's only now he's understanding that actually in life, being on the physical earth plane, he could have tapped into that at any point. And it's all choice. It's all choice. Wants to pull a card. Which was a card, Reg. Boundaries. No, Eight of Wands, not boundaries. Going for it. Choice. Yeah, Three of Swords. Tarot of Opposition. Pulled in opposite directions. Pulled in opposite directions. What you think is going to be amazing. Actually breaks your heart. Strength. He's actually saying the reason why I'm calling them boys is because actually at heart they were boys. Boys and their toys, he's saying. That's interesting. He's saying boys that were stunted, emotionally stunted. He's showing me them as boys, and it's almost like pressure from society, stunting, 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 stunting. And this isn't him, and he needs to make this clear. This isn't him saying that it's not my fault that we became who we became, but society plays its role. Society does play its role in everything. Everything plays its role. It's about being, it's those that are, it's like the Matrix, like society. The world that they grew up in, the East End of London, is very different to the world we have now. Or is it? It's actually not. We're saying it's actually not very different. It's the same. It's just now more people are making different choices. More people are making different choices. Should we do questions? More people are making different choices. The temple of my body. They keep bringing this up as well. The temple of my body obsession. Let's have another tune in. It's almost like I'm showing us things rather than channeling. Why are they showing us things? He's showing, I'd say he's in his early 20s. He's not in the suits. He's, what's it called? A jumper, shirt, tie. Um, he's showing me him walking through the East End of London. And as a young man, he's aware. Do you know, I'm going to be controversial. I reckon these two people actually are quite, I'm going to say energy sensitive. I know people are going to be saying, are you talking shit? Not, they're energy sensitives. And that's why I'm struggling with it, because it's like I'm seeing, as a specifically Reg, we needed to rise. We needed to rise at that point in our lives. The East End of London had some nasty, nasty, nasty families in it, and we needed to rise. It wasn't clever, it wasn't clever, but we needed to rise. But then he's saying you either succeeded with your fists or you succeeded with pen and paper, or you became a doormat. Okay. That's what they thought. He's showing me him again, Reg, and he's just like looking around. It's post World War II. There's damage. There's buildings that have been blown to pieces. Society's been blown to pieces. There's something about their dad not being a good earner to bring money in. There's oh, I don't know if this is true, but they're showing me Violet goes to the shops and something happens to her, either a verbal assault or a physical or a bit of both. and something snaps and something fires up. Something I'm going to Google this. And then he's showing me another woman at the same time that was assaulted. My guide's saying what's happening is because they've got the energy that they've got, they're coming in very, very gradually, very, very slowly. Because if they came in one bam, like some of them come in, it'd be like boom, if that makes sense. Be killed or be killed. Be killed or be killed. Be destroyed or be destroyed. Take down or be taken down. We enjoyed it. We enjoyed it. We enjoyed the violence. Once we'd opened up to it, we enjoyed it. We enjoyed the thrill. And the more that we got into it, the more that we came away from civilized society, and the more that we became pulled into it. And the more that we got pulled into it, the bigger we had to get. The bigger, the nastier, the more brutal, the darker we had to get. And it was fight, 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 fight. And he's showing me now different families around East End of London, different names. And he says we back then had to be the best. We had to be the best, the hardest. We weren't going to play it small. We needed to play it big. We got addicted to the bloodshed. We got addicted to people being intimidated. We got addicted to the manipulation. And he's showing me them after. I think this is Ronnie showing me shaking after like a killing spree, shaking. He wants to pull a card. One card. What started it? Okay. Revenge. A blessing for healing of injury or illness. A blessing to live sadness. What started it? About their bodies. Started it. What started it, Reg? What started killing spring? Ego. The tower. There's something going on here that I don't feel as though it's in any books. It's not something I've ever heard about. The temple of my body. Oh, okay. Can I share that? Yes. Um, I think we're both gay. I think they were both gay. And I think, yeah, East End of London back in the 1940s, 50s, would it have been 60s, was no place for a gay man. And take yourself, this again, please don't think this is not about them making excuses. They're explaining the world of witch and how it can happen. Yeah, they had to build up something that, I mean, was that even the time that you could actually be prosecuted for it? I'll have to Google that. Yes, I'm now hearing yes, you could be prosecuted and persecuted for it. I'm laughing because I'm sure he said to me at some point Reggie was going to shock us in this video. That's where his issue with women comes in. That's where his issue with relationships. That's why I talked to him about his mother, and honestly, talked to him about his marriage, and it's a totally different story. I want to share. Yesterday, when I tapped into Ronnie's energy, he shared something with me, and I'm going to have to spell some of it because it's derogatory. And I kept hearing the words FATPOOF or every time I even thought about Ron. And I was like, God, keep FATPOOF. I can't say it on camera, and I'm not going to say it on camera. Every time I zoomed in on Ron yesterday, they were bullied. They were bullied. They were bullied. They had issues around sexuality. They were possibly sensitives. And this is something I probably we need to talk about. When you're sensitive, you can also be sensitive to other things, and it can be quite easy for something else to come in. And and this is something I want to talk about in future. I don't know at what point. Um, because actually, when you're sensitive, you can go into fight or flight, and that is something you have to own as an energy sensitive, fight or flight. And these two went into fight. It's almost like they're showing me a cat under attack, and it goes out. You'll get a cat that'll cower and run away, or and it'll come out, and the claws come out, and it comes out for you, and it's whatever is nurtured. He's saying about family, and the family that he had, they were all very boom, fiery characters. They weren't people that would, although there was a comforting energy within the home, they weren't, it wasn't, there wasn't, Violet was a nurturer and she was a comforter, but not, he's saying she polished the neuroses, if that makes sense. She polished the neuroses in them, she polished the darkness in them. And a lot, he said again, don't judge her by these standards. It's back then to have two boys on your two boys on your arm, walking down the street in the middle of, he's saying in the middle of Beirut, in the middle of a war zone. It was protection. He's Reggie's saying now to actually be the mother of two gay boys back then in the middle of the East End of London. Game over. He's saying that's what he's saying. It's his game. It would have been game over, but we turned it and we flipped it. And while ever they were in the masculine energy, they were in the suited, they were booted, they were in the parties, they were surrounded by women, they had shooters, they had everything. She was settled with that. And he's saying actually that was a sad thing at the times. It was easier for her to accept that than to accept that, even though Ron was more out there with that kind of stuff. Okay, right. Got through that bit. Some more water, I'm just tipping it over my head. I get very warm when I channel these two. So I want to talk about sexuality now and the need to be yourself, the need to find acceptance. And he's saying, actually, if we went down, we journeyed over all the inner cities and we looked at all the dark criminals, they're all living a fake life. They've not been given the opportunity in one way, shape, or form to be who they're meant to be who they are at the heart space. We've all got the potential to be the maniac. We've all got the potential to be the hero. We've all got the potential to be the savior. We've all got the potential to be everything. He's saying not tapping into what you're meant to be sends you mad. He says it sends you mad, it sends you crazy. There's also a generational thing. He's showing me as well a generational thing with it's a mixture. Itchy nose, sorry. Itchy nose, it's a mixture of stuff. It's a mixture. Right. Should we bring Ron in? Ron. See, I just see it. Yeah. Ron Kray. Something was unleashed within me that once I'd unleashed it, I couldn't hold it back, and I refused to hold it back. No, he has a distaste for that era of his life. It's almost like he's showing me through his eyes, and he's looking around the room, and he just hates everyone. It's just hatred. He just wants to kick the shit out of everybody. So they just want to language. So I just want to fucking shoot everybody. I just want to fucking kill everybody. Said I hated society. I hated everyone. Hated women. So I'm not laughing at that. I'm not laughing at that. I'm just hated men, hated children, hated it all. You all just fucked me off. I'm not going to get monetized for this time. I'm trying to whisper it so we can hear it. He said, and that's what I'm showing you. I just fucking hated everything. Just, it's just a lot. Sorry, apologies. It's just saying bastards everywhere. Bastards. Um, he said, I just wanted to blow everything up. I'm not laughing. I just wanted to blow everything up. I just wanted to blow everything up. The language. He says the noise in his head. It's funny because Reggie's just like gone like that with him and just calm down. It's just like society molding you. Society molding you. Everything you do, society molds you. Do this, do that, do the other. Watch this, read this, be like this. What did you want to be, Ron? Ron, what did you want to be? I just wanted Chance to be me. I wanted help for the noises in my head. I wonder if he's got a gun wound in his left leg, left thigh. There's a wound in his left thigh. Oh, and it hurts. Yeah, he just swore again, but I'm not going there. Um, taking me to Broadmoor now. It feels as though he's showing me a part of Broadmoor where he got more peace. He said, I fit in with the loonies there. Don't judge, please. Honestly, like, I cannot keep Ron Kray politically correct. I fit in with the loonies there. Pull a card, Ron. Blinded to pain. Blinded to pain. Obsession. He keeps getting these. He was obsessed because he couldn't be with her. He couldn't do what society says was normal. And it was an obsession. It was an obsession. Blinded to his pain, blinded to his needs, blinded to what he needed to be as a human being, not being allowed to be who he was as a human being. He's saying this isn't blaming, this isn't making excuses, but society needs to shake itself because it's still not learning from the mistakes of the past. Wants to pull a card from this one. Hmm. Hmm. A blessing on a home. Oh, bless it. Do you know there's actually a really nice side to him. There's a chink of him, and it's actually getting bigger and bigger and bigger as he's over there. And he actually said to me, he says, don't worry, because he knows he's just swore there. He knows he's just spoken about hating women. He's aware of that. And I think he's let us see that aspect of his persona that was there is not like that now. And I've got to stress that. But he's just said, I apologise. And I'm not like that towards me and towards the watchers. This was 1950s, 60s Ronnie that just wanted to just blow it up. And the more he did it, the more he wanted to do. A blessing on home. A blessing to bring clarity. He said, I just wanted to live with my mum. He just wanted to live with his mum. He just wanted to live with his mum. He said I was an angry gay. Um, out from here on. Are you enjoying it all? I know it's deep. Yeah. At that Ace of Pentacles. It's deep. Lying to yourself. Lying to yourself. Wow, this is it. We're on. We're on. He's that, but he's not allowed to be that. He's not allowed to be the sensitive, gay young man that he wants to be. He has to be this. So this is what is birthed. But he was lying to himself. He was lying to himself. And he's trying to tell us here, and some of you may still be here, and some of you may have turned off when he started effing and jeffing, but the importance of being who you're meant to be. Because if you don't embrace who you're meant to be at soul level, you just destroy yourself. You just destroy yourself. So we're going to move on to something else now. What we're going to move on to? What do you want to talk about next? Stepping out of a life of crime. So this is for people wanting to step out of a life of crime. Advice and guidance. Who's going to do it? Reggie or Ronnie or both? So what advice should you give to people that are in a life of crime and want to step out of it? Do it. Do it. Hmm. Empty space. They just give me a total empty space. It was like the conversation just went off. It's like, what are you talking about now? The conversation just went off. Empty space. You'll have to give up everything. At some point, you will have to give up the life of crime. Because, and they actually showed me this yesterday, there's going to be a lot more underworld stuff going on, gang, killing gang, etc. And it's almost like they're going to turn in on themselves. Those that don't get out will turn in on themselves, and it's just going to be a bloodbath. It's going to be a bloodbath, and they need to get out of it. If you want to have it, you need to do it yourself. And they say you need to roll with the punches. Moving away, people needing to move away from certain areas. Is that they're actually saying it's not an easy, and there is no easy magic words. There is no. What can society do? They're actually pointing me to like slum areas and council. Not that I grew up in a council estate, but they're showing me real bad areas. The councils, the police, the social workers, parents, society, schools. They're actually saying it needs to start young. There's no point sitting down with a young lad that's up to his neck in gangland stuff and saying you need to get out, because actually by the time they're there, it's really hard. What they said we need to learn about is when they're in the schools. What are their parents doing? What are their parents teaching them? What's happening in society? What's happening in schools? What's happening with the police? How are police treating people? How is the prison service treating them? How is society glamorizing crime? Cost of living crisis is a concern for them. It feels as though it's not that it's never too late, but it needs to be nipped in the bud early doors. Because, like they've said to me, how could they have just walked away? Oh, you can just walk away. Once you get that, the higher you get, the worse it gets, and the more you have to keep there, or you feel as though you have to keep there. But they are saying that because of the frequency of the planet increasing, a lot of people are going to start turning away from it. So it's going to be easier. It's going to start getting easier. It's going to be a knock-on effect. And what they're showing me, I think this is symbolic, it might not be, is a big bin and crims, gangsters, whatever, walking up and throwing the guns in and just doing that. And he said it's actually what they're asking the older criminals to start doing it. The older criminals are going to start doing it, and it rumbles downhill. But it's a whole society that needs to work together. They're saying there's a lot of criminals out there that are reformed, are coming out of prison, and one of their sole contracts is to actually go into schools and society and teach, what's it called? Inspirational speaking and that kind of thing, to inspire people and that kind of thing. It's going to be more acceptable now than it was back then, because it feels as though they couldn't have, they had got too far to just walk away. But that was a different time and a different frequency. You showed me the police service. It's actually saying police service is corrupt, and he's saying that needs to go and something else comes into its place. He's actually saying that there's more. He said this is the problem. He says you. How do you put this out properly, Clara? There's warped energy within that. There's warped energy within that area, and it's feeding it. It's feeding it. It all needs a deep clean. It all needs a deep clean. Hmm. A blessing on friendship. I asked them, give me a card for walking away. A blessing on a home and friendship. Home. It starts with the home. It starts with the home. What we nurture children with. Do we nurture the love? Do we nurture their vulnerabilities? Or do we, because they're actually, and I believe this, we've all got the ability to be these two, and that's what people fail to understand. We've all got the ability to be him. We've all got the ability to be him. We've got the ability to be both, if not in this incarnation, then another. But we've also got the ability to be beings of love, beings of love. So what are we nurturing? What are we feeding? What are we allowing? What are we birthing? Right, okay. Ron's stepping forward and he wants to give an apology. And if that sounds lax, he wants to give an apology. But he wants to publicly acknowledge the stuff that he was aware of or part of that consisted of children in his lifetime as Ron Kray. That's all I'm saying for the video, and I'm drawing a line under it. Please don't carry on in the comments. He wants to, because he says that was a sick side of him. And he says that actually, he's showing me Rent Boys, etc. When you don't allow somebody to be the normal, you make way. And I've always said this, you make way for the abnormal. And he's saying that's true. If he was allowed to be a normal gay man, he could have avoided that timeline. But because it was all cloak and when you push somebody cloak and dagger, you push them cloak and dagger into the bellows of society. And that's where he ended up, in the bellows of the gallows of I don't know, underbelly of society. And he wants to publicly, and that's one of the reasons why I show me him throwing it up, because he's disgusted at himself. He's disgusted at himself. Um, oh, let's have some water. Oh, cards or not? Let's see if you don't know the card, or are we just going to keep channeling? Andrew Tate. It's funny, I was shut and I thought, oh, and I got Andrew Tate. And the card that's come out is the King of Pentacles. Right, this is why this was the core reason. What we all know about Andrew Tate, etc. And this is one of the main reasons why they wanted to do this reading, because of society keeps idolizing the undivine masculine that we think is this. They've got it all: the money, the looks, the fashion, the correct words, the guns, whatever it is. But actually, underneath, that's what they are. That's what they are. That's what they are. And this is about us being a better group of people and a better species, because we need to wisen up to people on our world stage. The Krays, not judging it, when they died, they were nearly at royal funerals. Honestly, it was like a state affair. There was clapping in the streets, people cheering them on, people saying all kinds of things. But there was also the darkness that people refused to see, the fact that there was other, more darker stuff going on you know, and it's still happening today. People idolizing false male idol and false female idols as well. And not being able to read the warning signs, because we'd look at people like the Krays, for example, and other people like that, and it's so obvious in some respects, but then in other respects, we can struggle to see it. And actually being careful what you're idolizing to and what you're putting on a pedestal. Is this person of love? Is this person of compassion? Is this person of balance? Is this person trying to serve humanity? Does this person inspire me to be a better kind of person? They're saying these are the things we need to ask ourselves. Or is this person inspiring me to pick up a shooter, kick off in a bar, bring it to its knees, smash it up if needs be? Is this person inspiring me to go onto online and to start spouting off and carrying on? And actually then looking into and feeling into that energy and thinking, if I go down that route, what will I attract into my life? So if you say you're idolizing the Christ, what is it? You're idolizing them. And you think, right, neither of them could live the life they wanted. Neither of them could have the relationships they wanted. Neither of them could have the balance and the stable and the peace of mind they wanted. They end up in prison. And this is what we need to start doing, rather than going, oh, they're amazing, whoever they are. I just, like a moth to the flame. It's like, oh, let me into the flame, let me into the flame. And people are getting burnt because there's something with discernment. Because if you aspire to be something like the Greys or somebody else, you become them. You like, look at Andrew Tate, he's in prison now. There are a lot of people out there in the world that know certain things they can say, certain code words, and it gets people. And a lot of these people are vulnerable, vulnerable to, we've all been there. And actually, it's about a sense of self coming back to yourself. And I think looking at them as well, one of the soul contracts I'm feeling is that they've probably played a very similar soul contract to Tate, to other people, giving us the opportunity to look at our own shadow. It's easy to look at the craze and go, yeah. But actually looking at our own shadow and our own underbelly, how does society birth this? Because it's not just about these two, it's about everything, the bigger picture. How does society birth this? What made us welcome this in? What made us put this on a pedestal? What made us think this is clever? If that makes sense. What made us think this is clever? They're saying in order for the world to change, it has to change with everyone. Because you're not going to attract in the decent people, you're going to attract in more doom and gloom and darkness. Okay. What do you think too? I want to find I want me a card for this. Describe, show me show what you think to Andrew Tate and the energy around that. The temple of my body. Yeah, he's another one that's got an issue with women, an issue with the divine feminine, downcast pride. Right, to take him into something else now. This issue we've got between men and women, of men that have wounds with women, mother wound, granny wound, girlfriend wound, um, not being being of certain sex wound, etc. That rather than deal with that and heal that, are going out and doing crazy stuff, crazy stuff. And they're saying that men need to heal that because it just causes more damage. Be at peace with your relationship with the divine feminine. And doesn't mean to mean like, as if this isn't saying if you're gay, be at peace. You should be, no, they're not saying that. They're saying be at peace with the beauty of the divine feminine, to not try and drag it down, to not try and destroy it, to not try and patronize it, to help it to rise up. The divine feminine also within yourself as well, because the truth is they also had divine feminine. They're saying that the codes in many people are really damaged. There's something with the codes in people. We've messed with the codes too much. We've messed with the codes too much. Um, and it's going to keep reverberating until we heal that within ourselves. Ronnie and Reggie. Is there going to be a world without crime? Yes. The first video I did of Reg, I said he'd reincarnated as a police officer. He spoke about that in the last one. Ron's come back as a judge. Oh, and he's very strict. He doesn't suffer fools gladly as a judge. Show me this lifetime. Can you want to show us this lifetime? Because I'm interested. That's nice. He's actually really strict in the courts, really strict. But he has to be careful to be not, because as this is trying to, I'm seeing the judge that he is in this lifetime or in a future lifetime, whenever it comes for him, and he's got to be careful that he's not too strict, because you know that thing they have where they bang, what's it called? Bang, you go to whatever it is, that wooden thing. It's almost like he's bang, 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 bang. And it's almost like he just needs to breathe and understand that he's clearing that, and not take it overboard, because he's got that energy within him of taking things to the extreme. What else would you like to talk about? Let me pull a card. Yeah. He said something about they wanted to talk about the downfall of the establishment, but obviously we have to be very careful, don't we? And I pulled a card. I got the Four of Swords, which is endings, and the Page of Pentacles, which is something we believed in, that seemed of light, that seemed perfect, that seemed, again, it's going to be a moment of discernment that we actually start to see, oh, what, and it's, oh, yeah. Can you see that? It's almost like the page is going, oh, oh, is this, oh, and then we have to look deeper. We're being asked to look deeper. He says it's going to be really hard in many different, but it's still going to be required. He says there's a soul contract you've all taken out at this time to look deeper. He says it's not just about looking deeper at the establishment, but looking deeper within ourselves. Looking deeper within our family dynamics, looking deeper within the global dynamics. But he's saying to learn from it, not to do it as a fear thing where you just scare yourself to death, but to do it where you learn from it. The book, these are lessons. These are lessons, the lessons to learn from it, to do it to learn from it, to grow from it, to make a better planet for people, to make a better planet for ourselves. With a card from this deck, please. And how long have we been doing this for? When did I start? With a card for what you just said about the establishment. Yeah, a blessing to safeguard, a blessing to shield and safeguard you, a blessing to shield and safeguard you, a blessing on your family. The new earth that's coming is going to be about family. The type of family life that is actually within their hearts. You may think, well, look, it didn't do them much good, but it actually did, because what it's done with them is it's planted seeds that they may not have been able to access in their past incarnation. But these seeds, he said, Violet, their mother, planted some powerful seeds. She didn't always water them right, they say she didn't always water them, but she planted some powerful seeds that will come down the generations, different incarnations, and be watered by different mother figures, different incarnations. And this is the same for all of us in some respect. What this family energy that she had a family energy. Didn't do it perfect, of course, but if they'd have grown up in the countryside or in some kind of different area, they could have had a chance. It was accumulation of things that caused the craze. We as a society needed that experience. We as a society needed it as a teaching curve and as a learning curve, and still do. But it's going to take us back. We're going back to a blessing on family. We're coming back to family. Many people are already waking up to this now, the importance of family, the importance of community, the importance of coming together as a community, of when they see a woman struggling, people coming together to help her rather than watch her struggle. And then it's just got a knock-on effect then, hasn't it? She struggles, she's got kids, etc., etc. And before you know it, you've got another criminal being birthed. They're saying we've got a lot of things coming on the planet at the minute. Is this world or is this UK? World or UK? It's both. What are you trying to show me? They're saying open your ears, open your minds, open your eyes. And they're showing many of us are already riding that wave. Not getting it perfect, not getting it right, but we're riding that wave. Something big coming. I'm trying to post off, I can't tell you. Make this easy for me, please, boys. There's something big coming. Do you know what this is, please? You're going to make it easy, are you? Show me what's coming, if you can. Right, okay. I'll share them in a minute. Show me what's coming. Yeah. I might get another deck actually. See what this. Show me what's coming. Make sense of this. Can I make sense of this? It boils down to how people use the gift of magic. How do they use it? Do they use it as a tool for light or a tool for darkness or a tool for manipulation and control? The underbelly is coming up. The underbelly is coming up. There's some this is not new news. It's not new news, but maybe around another well-known male figure or male figures within our world. Six of Pentacles, money, power, the High Priestess. I need another deck. Do I need a deck? They're showing me hidden documents that are in lock-up boxes, vaults or something that come to fruition, that come to light, little hidden documents. I nearly said little, and I meant hidden. And when I said little, I said, why did I say little? Straight away, I think this is to do with minors, if that makes sense. And I think it's all part of the clearing. They're saying actually life at the minute feels very heavy for a lot of people that are going through this. But this is a moment of great deep revelation on this planet. And there are many people over in the other dimensions working diligently to get us through this. Sink into your heart always with all of this. Sink into your heart. So I'm trying to be able to put things out there in a correct way, if that makes sense. They are aware of stuff, okay, within all kinds of different areas of society. And a lot of that stuff's coming up, okay? A lot of that stuff's going to be coming up soon. It already is. And it has to come up because it has to come up to be cleaned up, to be understood, to be made sense of, because we can't get into New Earth, we can't get into a better way of living without clearing up this old energy that needs to be cleared up. Clearing it up, deep cleaning, coming back to our heart spaces. Anything else? It's about, back to these two cards that drew my attention. Family and safeguarding your family and doing all you can to love and protect your children. Not protect, because I'm not saying that, they're not saying that, but love. If you want a better world, it starts in the home. It always starts in the home. Anything else to say? One saying life is not a sport. Life is not a sport. It's not about winning. It's not about losing. It's about living. This is Ron. It's about being aware of the ticking of the time, the ticking of the clock. And it's about what you do with your time when you're here. How are you using your time when you're here? Are you using it to bring great peace, great healing, or are you bringing great chaos? And he's actually now he wants to talk to you as an ex-gangster. And he's saying, as an ex-gangster, there is no reward in it. There's no long-term satisfaction. There's danger. There's darkness. Prison is no place to be. Get out as soon as you can. Be open to who you are as an individual. Any chinks in your armor, anything that needs attention, deal with it. Admit to it. Talk to people, get help. Crime is not the path to go down. He says it's getting more and more violent. They're actually even saying they'd struggle now with some of the stuff that's going on. It's getting more and more violent, more and more toxic, more and more divisive. You always have a choice, no matter what life you've been given, what stars you're born under, what mother you've been given, what area you live in. You've always got a choice. There's always choice. We had a choice. Mum had a choice. Everyone had a choice. We all had a choice. But we choose things. He's saying we think we don't have freedom on this planet right now, but we've got freedom. We've got freedom. We've got freedom of choice, but we just don't know how to use freedom of choice. And when we get this freedom of choice, we're using it for the wrong ends, for the wrong stuff. You've always got choice. Those of you that have admired us, looked up to us, please use our story as an example of what not to be and of who to be instead of. One of our soul contracts was to show you all what not to be, to wake up to the madness created in this world. Many people got that and have lived good lives, and many people just jumped in and copied. They say like we're the energy of grandfathers now. They're the energy of the grandfathers because that's what they'd been if they were still alive. And he's saying, you know, when you look at your younger version and you're the old man, obviously he's not old man now where he is, but yeah. And it's like you can look back and think, God, what was I thinking? How did I think that was going to get me anywhere quick? Don't let it be too late. Don't let your kids, your grandkids, your parents, your lover, your partner become the victim of your crimes. Because when you're inside, the paranoia is off the scale. When your kids, your wife, your partner, your family, your mum, everyone is on the outside and you're worried and you're actually more vulnerable there. It's not glamorous. It's dark. It's abusive. It's depressive. It's toxic. Get out now. Reg? Very deep thinker is Reg, very deep thinker. Greatest mistake man makes is thinking he has no power when he has all the power. Very deep thinker is Reg, very deep thinker. You see, we were false idols. Learn from the past false idols. Where did that get people? Where did that get people that honoured us? A lot of people that honoured them have gone down criminal paths. Where did that get us? That got them nowhere. We all, as a species, as people, need to make better choices. It's always choice. They keep talking about choice and choice and choice and making better choice. Um, mm, saying there's a lot of lies out there about them as well. A lot of people selling their souls. Um, a lot of exaggerations. It's interesting. They're also Reggie's also saying they were big dumb. I mean, we know they were big dumb, but he's actually saying if the press, everyone's big, and he said everyone's bigged us up and made it out to be something it wasn't. Made it out to be something it wasn't. Yes, it happened. Yes, they did what they did, but everything was bigged up. What was it bigged up, Reg? Trying to get it into. Why was it bigged up? Because if you've got a generation of youngsters that aspire to that, they're not going to aspire to love. And they're going to be kept in the hamster wheel, if that makes sense. They're going to be kept in the hamster wheel of crime. When you start committing crime, you're controllable, even though you think you're not. You're actually controllable because you can be blackmailed. You can have your bill. You can have your freedom taken away from you at a moment's notice. Even if they think that they're letting you be free, you're not. Because while ever we're fighting each other, why not fighting the system? Okay, wink. Anyway, messages for those watching. Messages for those watching. Messages for those watching. A blessing on your boundaries. Boundaries, what we're accepting. A blessing on your boundaries. How are you? Set a blessing to shield and safeguard you. Blessing to shield and safeguard you. Being mindful of what you let into your life. Being mindful of what you accept. Being mindful of what you accept. And that we are safe. Society wants to tell you that you're not safe, but you are safe. And you've got everything that you need. Books, games, friends, family, memories. They're saying all these simple things, memories, a decent cooked meal, cleaning a home, preparing, stitching your child's socks, sat with your children on the sofa, playing on your tablet, reading your book, your magazine, watching your favourite Netflix stuff. They're all the simple stuff, the walk out in nature. Don't to the simple stuff, because the simple stuff is what gives you your freedom. The simple stuff is what gives you the freedom. Going out into clubs and shooting and all of that kind of stuff does not bring freedom. Fall back in love with the simple pleasures of life. Fall back in love with the simple direction of life. Fall back in love with your own divine feminine. Fall back in love with your own divine masculine. Fall back in love with each other's divine feminine, divine masculine. Fall in love with each other's quirks and your child's individuality. Fall back in love with your sexuality. Fall back in love with your creative flair. fall back in love with your mental health issues that you've got that make you who you are, and be at peace with it and get help for it as well. Don't let it spiral out in the way that Ron did. Pull a card from this and we'll close it down. Have you enjoyed being with them? Do you understand them more at a better level? Obsession again, yeah. Make peace. Anger and chains. Anger and chains. Be mindful of anything that's not comfortable with this. I'm taking it back to Tate, that berates this, that wants to bring this down, that mocks it, that anything it, because that person wants to keep you in anger and chains. Make peace with it, because the divine feminine, the divine masculine is the future. Do you choose love, or do you choose anger and chains, and criminality keeps you in chains? I'll from this one. They're saying that women need to fall back in love with themselves in a more natural, more healthier way. Many women don't love themselves. Or we get the Instagram love, the pouts, the lip fillers, the injecting ourselves with stuff. Women need to fall back in love with themselves. Men need to fall back in love with themselves. Not in the narcissistic way. And even that says something about us, that we straight away think, yeah, but I'm not an arc, I'm not ego. No, you can love yourself. Loving the qualities that you bring to the plate as a human being. Because when you don't, you leave the cup empty for something else to come in. Bringing colour into your life as well. Bringing hope into your life. I've got an urge to just open this page, this book at any page. Let's see what we get. Probably get nothing actually. Something about celebrity culture there. Let's see if we can. This is probably silly. This. Let's see if we can go to a page. Reg. Barbara Windsor. What do they think to this book? What do they think to this book? You see, do you know? See, this was written whilst we're still alive, through a different lens. It's almost like they're saying we also help to glamorize it. We help to glamorize it. We help to deceive people, and they feel responsible for that. They help to deceive people. They helped a generation of men think that's the way to be, and it's not. That's why when I started saying let's look at a page, I thought that they were drawing my attention to the book, and I didn't realise why. I'm not going to our mother. No, I'm not going to start reading it. I just want to. Our mum, you are like a rose. When God picked you, you were the best mum. So this is a poem from Ron, right? So this, I think this was for a funeral. Mum, you are like a rose. When God picked you, you were the best mum he could have chose. You kept us warm when it was cold. With your arms around us, you did fold. For us you sold your rings of gold. When you died, I cried like a baby. When I think of you, it is with pride. So go to sleep, Mum. I know that you are tired. Mm. Yeah. All of these stories on our world are there to teach us something. They're there to bring us home to ourselves. Many more messages want to come out. A blessing on a home. Do you keep getting the message? A blessing on a home. A blessing to safeguard you again. A lot of people out there are feeling vulnerable, especially people that are good, decent people that are living good, decent lives, and they're feeling vulnerable. Um, you will be looked after. Good, decent people are looked after. Good, decent people are protected. It's important whilst this world is transitioning, and obviously a new earth, to try and be a good, decent person, to try and attach into good, decent energies. Right, should we pull one more card? What card are we going to pull? Then we'll wrap. I keep saying I'm going to wrap up. One more thing to wrap up with, please. One more thing to wrap up with. Naked before the stars. Peace, peaceful among thorns. I can't have that on camera too long because how she's dressed. But yeah, naked before the stars. Be vulnerable. Naked before the stars. That's the thing. You don't view Reggie and Ronnie Kray as vulnerable, do you? You view them as anything but. But to get in a piece, sometimes you've got to be vulnerable. And you've got to be authentically you. You've got to be able to open your heart to life, to experiences, and open your heart to love coming in as well, because to do anything other is to just destroy you, to destroy yourself. Anything else you'd like to say? Because we're bored of it. We've been doing this for. We started at 1. Anyway, let's wrap it up. Thank you for watching. I hope this video's helped. I hope this video's helped to draw a line under things. They're also saying about leaving the ghoul behind, the ghoulish things. If you want to look at something like this, look at it from a point of learning. What can I learn from the Greys? Read the books, by all means. What can I learn from it? That's interesting. The same. Wait till Myra comes in a few weeks' time because she's going to be an eye opener. Oh, thanks for that, Myra Hindley. Yes, I am going to be channeling in a few weeks' time. She will be talking about the undivine feminine. Again, as a woman that chose a very dark past, she's going to be talking to us about that and about, again, toxicity in relationships, etc., etc. Oh, that was interesting. The minute I mentioned, I actually felt the energy of a child pulling at my jumper. Because here we go, it could be another mind blower. Why did I feel a child pulling at my jumper? Because because children are waiting for us to wake up as adults. Children are waiting for us to wake up as adults because we are failing them badly. Everyone is. Everyone is. In all ways, shapes, or form. God, that's going to be a punchy video. Are we ready for it? Next week, it's going to be channeling Princess Margaret. After that, we're going to be doing Richard III. And then I think we're going to be reading Myron. Yeah. So thank you for watching. Closing this down. So standing up in the living room with Valence Road. thanking them, thanking all that have stepped forward for all the teaching, all the enlightenment, all the wisdom, thanking them for being vulnerable with us, but thanking ourselves for also being vulnerable with them and giving them the chance to tell their story and giving them this moment to set the record straight in the best way that we can. Stepping out of, so oh, that's nice. So you're shaking their hands as well, giving the mother a hug and a kiss on the cheek. And as we step out into the street, you can see the terraced houses. The outside of the street, now we're on the outside of the street. The outside of the street is turning into a really calm meadow. And there's a calm energy coming into every single one of you that have got to the end. Bang your feet on the floor just to bang those energies in and through you into Mother Earth and to anchor and ground. They're stood at the door, Ronnie, Reggie, their mother. The door is turning into a portal of light. There's light coming in through the roof of the house to cleanse it, to heal it, to release it, to transmute it. All three of them are now going over Rainbow Bridge, and that has now been sealed. So they've gone. We've closed that part down. They've gone now. We are in the meadow. The house, Valley Street, disappeared in its place. There's a meadow and there's a river that's running through that up that old. I mean, the house isn't there now. Up that old street. And now you just have to wiggle your body a bit, shake your legs, shake your hands, cough, just bring back some back to planet Earth because it is heavy energy. It's back to planet Earth, and you're back into your chair in your living room where it's safe. Go make yourself a nice cup of tea, Rosalie. Nice cup of coffee. I'm going to get myself a cappuccino with some sorine. Do you have sorine in other parts of the world? Sorine. And thank you for watching. If you have enjoyed that, I've got other videos on my playlist. Or you go to channeling and they're all there, all different characters, all different, some are very controversial. We've got Jimmy, we've got Peter Sutcliffe, we've got Princess Diana, Jackie Kennedy, loads of them, Brontes, Anne Boleyn, Jane Seymour, quite Abraham Lincoln. So if you want to work your way through that, please keep the comments positive and of love and of compassion for all concerned. Please do not go down the controversial route. Comments with love and kindness will be accepted and welcomed. If you want to subscribe, please do. Drop me a like, share the video, and I will see you all next week. I think on Tuesday I'm going to be doing a global read. So I'm just looking at my laptop. I'm going to be doing a global read on different areas of the world. And then we're going to be doing Princess Margaret next week, where she wants to talk about the trials of the curse of being a spare. Oh, yes. You ready for it? Oh, we're going to be getting Margaret's view on what's going on with Harry. Okay, so see you next week. Have a fab weekend, and I will catch you later. Bye. Now I'm going to log off. See how I do this. If I do it better than I did the other day when I was like that. Thanks for watching. See you later. Bye.